It's a Sunday evening in September. The city is quiet. Families are out for their evening walk. The air still warm from the day's sun. In a public park, a park that thousands of ordinary people walk through every week, someone is waiting. 4 shots are fired. And just like that, a man's life is over. It will take nearly 7 years and the courage of 3 eyewitnesses before anyone is arrested for what happened that night. 7 years because the suspect had connections that reached into the very heart of India's legal system. This is the story of Sippy Sidhu, and the case that nearly got buried forever. Chandigarh is unlike almost any other city in India. It was designed from scratch in the 1950s, a planned utopia laid out on a grid by a Swiss architect. Numbered sectors, wide tree-lined boulevards, parks built into the very blueprint of the city. It's one of India's wealthiest cities, one of its cleanest, and one of its most status-conscious. Because in Chandigarh, it's not just what you do, it's who your family is, what your surname carries, which court your father argued in, which bench your grandfather sat on. It's a city where reputation isn't just important, it's everything. And Sippy Sidhu, Sukhmanpreet Singh Sidhu, was born right at the center of that world. His grandfather had been a judge of the Punjab and Haryana High Court. His father was a respected advocate. The law ran through his family like a bloodline. But Sippy wasn't just a lawyer. He was also a national-level rifle shooter, a gold medalist at the 2001 National Games. The kind of person who carried precision into everything he did. By 2015, he was 34 years old, building his own corporate legal practice in Mohali. A man who, by every visible measure, had a brilliant life ahead of him. What nobody could see was what was falling apart behind closed doors. Her name was Kalyani Singh. She was an assistant professor at a government college in Chandigarh, educated, professionally accomplished. And her mother was Justice Sabina, a sitting judge of the Punjab and Haryana High Court. Sippy's family and Kalyani's family had known each other for almost 30 years. They were part of the same world, the same social circles, the same city. At some point, Sippy and Kalyani began a relationship. Long-term, serious, private, and, by all accounts, deeply committed, at least on her side. She wanted to marry him. And then, Sippy did something that changed everything. According to investigators, he began circulating intimate photographs of Kalyani to her parents, to her friends, to her acquaintances, through phone numbers that couldn't be traced back to him. Starting in May of 2015, people close to Kalyani began receiving these images. Think about what that means for a moment. The daughter of a sitting high court judge, a college professor. Her private images being weaponized against her in a city where reputation is everything. In India's legal and social circles, the humiliation would have been total. And whatever Kalyani felt in those months, the records suggest it wasn't grief. It was something colder. In August of 2015, just weeks before the murder, something deeply unsettling happened outside Sippy's home. A group of men arrived late at night. They looked around. Then they drove away. But they left something behind. A black pouch. Inside, a spiral diary. It had Sippy's name, his address, his phone number, and a reference to Section 302 of the Indian Penal Code, the section for murder. Sippy filed a police complaint. Officers investigated. They found no criminal link, no known threat group, nothing concrete. In hindsight, it reads like a warning that nobody understood in time. Meanwhile, Sippy had flown to London. And even from abroad, he and Kalyani were still in contact. Through email. In one message, he admitted to his wrongdoings. He talked about wanting to make things right, about marriage, about resolving everything. Whether he meant it, or whether he was just managing the situation, we can't know. What we do know is that Kalyani had stopped using her own phone to reach him. She was borrowing other people's mobile numbers, using SIM cards registered in other people's names. And investigators would later discover something even more striking. A BSNL SIM card that had been purchased in the name of her mother's former special secretary had been used to contact Sippy. That SIM was acquired a full year before the murder. Someone was planning ahead. Sippy returned from London in mid-September 2015. He had less than 2 weeks left to live. On the afternoon of Sunday, September the 20th, Sippy Sidhu left his home in Mohali. Before he walked out, he told his mother he was going to meet a female friend. She watched him go. She would never see him alive again. CBI investigators later established that Sippy had visited the Sector 27 park on each of the 3 evenings before the murder. His mobile phone location data confirmed it every single time. On September the 18th, while Sippy sat in his car outside a cinema mall, he received 3 calls, in quick succession, from a borrowed mobile phone. According to the CBI, those calls came from Kalyani. She wanted him to come to the park. That Sunday night, he went. At around 9:30 in the evening, 4 shots were fired from a .12 bore shotgun. 1 shot from behind, 3 shots from the front. The post-mortem report would later confirm what those shots did to him. The cause of death? Hemorrhagic shock. Catastrophic internal bleeding. He would not have survived long. Witnesses reported seeing 2 figures running from the spot immediately after. A small car, a Maruti Zen, its plate ending in 1183, was spotted near the scene. An hour later, a local resident found the body lying in the grass. The police were called. A murder case was registered. Against persons unknown. Sippy Sidhu was 34 years old. Within weeks, investigators knew who they wanted to talk to. The mobile records pointed toward Kalyani Singh. The motive was clear. The borrowed phones were a trail. The evidence was starting to form a shape. The Chandigarh Police questioned her. Once, then again. And then, nothing happened. Here is where this story becomes about more than just one murder. Kalyani Singh's mother was a sitting judge of the Punjab and Haryana High Court. The same court, the same city, the same legal world that every officer, every prosecutor, every official in that investigation lived and worked inside. Nobody said it out loud. Nobody had to. The investigation simply stalled. Weeks turned into months. No arrests. No charge sheet. No accountability. Sippy's mother kept asking questions. The media kept asking questions. And the case kept going nowhere. It took the direct intervention of the Punjab governor, the constitutional head of the Union Territory, to finally pull the case away from local police and hand it to the CBI in January of 2016. And the CBI, India's premier investigative agency, didn't file its own formal case until April the 13th, 2016. 7 days after Justice Sabina had been transferred away from Chandigarh to a high court in another state entirely. Coincidence? You decide. Every year, on the 20th of September, Sippy's mother came back to that park. She lit candles. She spoke to journalists. She kept asking the same question. Why is nobody being held accountable? In December of 2020, 5 years after the murder, the CBI filed what's called an untraced report. Essentially, we can't make this case. We want to close it. A judge refused to accept it, told the CBI to go back, investigate further, do more. In 2021, the CBI doubled the public reward for information to 10 lakh rupees. And then, finally, something shifted. 3 eyewitnesses came forward, one after another, each with specific, detailed accounts of what they had seen in the Sector 27 park on the night of September the 20th, 2015. Why they waited so long has never been fully explained. Fear, most likely. The kind of fear that comes from knowing who you'd be testifying against. But they came forward, and the case was never the same again. On June the 15th, 2022, nearly 7 years after the murder, Kalyani Singh was summoned to CBI offices for questioning. Investigators found her evasive, inconsistent. She was arrested the same day. When Sippy's mother heard the news, she said, and these are her words, "The arrest has given hope for justice. It has been too long a struggle. 9 years of candles, 9 years of questions, and finally, someone in handcuffs." Kalyani Singh was charged with murder, criminal conspiracy, destruction of evidence, and illegal firearms offenses. If convicted, she faces life imprisonment. During her custody, the CBI conducted a polygraph examination. Their forensic experts concluded she appeared deceptive on key questions about the murder. A separate psychobehavioral assessment produced similar findings. Her legal team challenged both, arguing that proper procedure wasn't followed, that consent wasn't properly documented, that the assessments can't be relied upon. The trial is still ongoing as of 2025. The prosecution is still presenting its witnesses. Arguments are still being made. A verdict has not yet come. And there are gaps in this case, serious ones, that may never be filled. The shotgun used to kill Sippy Sidhu has never been recovered. The Maruti Zen car seen at the scene has never been definitively traced. And the second person who was allegedly in that park with Kalyani that night, the person described in the CBI's own charge sheet as one unknown assailant, has never been identified, has never been arrested, is still out there. 10 years later, the internal inquiry into the police officer who first handled this case was opened in August of 2025. 10 years. This case is about a lot of things. It's about a relationship that ended in violence, about betrayal and humiliation, and the worst thing one person can do to another. But it's also about something bigger than that. It's about what happens when power, real institutional power, sits between a crime and its consequences. When the people responsible for pursuing justice are connected, professionally and socially, to the family of the prime suspect. When a system moves slowly, not because it can't move faster, but because moving faster would be uncomfortable for the right people. Sippy Sidhu was 34 years old, a gold medalist, a lawyer, a son. He walked out of his house on a Sunday afternoon and told his mother he was going to meet a friend. No verdict has yet been delivered in his case. The second shooter has never been named. The murder weapon has never been found. And every year, on the 20th of September, his mother goes back to that park in Sector 27, and she lights a candle